For me, my earliest memories of Ghostbusters was with the cartoon show. I remember I loved it as a kid. I barely even remember the show, but I do know that I liked it a lot. I spent a lot of time pretending to be a Ghostbuster. I had the proton pack. I had like the little car that was a ghoul, and I had a couple of the other action figures and stuff like that. It was around the same time that I was into the Ninja Turtles, so I didn't have like a ton of both. I had like a little of each, but anyway, yeah, there's a lot of epic Ninja Turtles slash Ghostbuster fights that happened in my household.
Must have been seeing Ghostbusters 2 at the cinema. That's probably my earliest memory. I must have been really young as well, about 3 or 4 maybe. I can't remember what year it came out, but I must have been about 3 or 4 years old, because I've only got a few little images in my head of actually seeing it at the cinema. Other than that, I guess playing with the Wolfman. It's probably one of my earliest Ghostbuster toy memories. So yeah, Ghostbusters 2 at the cinema and playing with the Wolfman monster in the bath. It's one of my earliest Ghostbuster memories. I had pretty much all of this that you can see, plus stuff below. I had all of it as a kid. Absolutely loved Ghostbusters. If it wasn't Ghostbusters, it was Turtles. If it wasn't Turtles, it was Ghostbusters. I was just going back and forth between both. And like I'll show you here, it's just stuff like the artwork on the front of the toys and stuff like that. I just absolutely loved it. I loved staring at it. I used to draw the actual like little ghosts that they put on front of the toys and stuff.
I remember with the movies specifically that I didn't quite understand all the jokes because it was obviously more adult oriented. So I was more kind of fascinated with some of the more of the ghost stuff with it, more so than the actual dialogue and jokes. I do remember that I was scared of when Sigourney Weaver and Rick Moranis' character would become like the dogs. I remember like that. Sometimes I'd walk out of the room on that, even though I knew exactly what was going on. When I watch the movies now, I see like the adult humor and like some levels of like, this is kind of just, it's that borderline comedy that, at the time it wasn't that big of a deal, but now in this PC world, it's just kind of like, yeah, you can't get away with that in a PG film, so when I look at it now, like I enjoy the movies a lot more than what I did as a kid.
All my friends loved Ghostbusters. We had the toys. I remember taking this guy, the Dracula monster, into school with me, and all my kids loving it. And then a week later, all my friends had the Dracula one, and yeah, we'd all show each other the Ghostbuster toys we didn't have, and then we'd each ask our parents for the ones we didn't have, and it was brilliant. We absolutely loved the Ghostbuster toys. I remember going to my friend's birthday party. He just lived across the road from me, and he was actually playing, if I can get it out here, he was playing this VHS, not this very VHS, but this VHS with these cartoons on it. And yeah, he had it for his birthday, and we just sat there and watched Ghostbusters and ate cake. It was great.
I was really excited when they announced the games for the Xbox 360 and Wii and that generation. I never played the other games as a kid. I didn't know that they existed. So it was one of those things where when I finally got to them, I was like, yeah, these are pretty crappy games. Somebody's got to make a good Ghostbusters game.
Well, I've got one memory of playing a Ghostbusters game as a kid. I mean, most kids probably played like the Master System version or the Nintendo version or something like that. But I've got a weird memory of playing, like, I'm sure it was like a ZX Spectrum or an Amiga or Commodore 64 Ghostbusters game. I can't remember what it was like. I just remember, I'm sure it was Commodore 64. I think so, because I just got one. And I remember loading it up, and I can't remember what even happened. I don't think it was side-scrolling. It might have been like top-down, and you see the little, the beam and everything like that, and you catch monsters. But I vaguely remember it, and I don't know what Ghostbusters game it was. I don't know if it was for the second movie, the first movie, the cartoon.
I did buy the 360 version as well as the Wii version, and when I finally got around to playing them, I actually got a chance to play them when I was laid up for a few weeks and I couldn't move, and so I just sat around and played video games. So perfect opportunity, and I played them back to back. And I played the 360 version first, and I absolutely loved it. I thought the storyline really fit in with what was established in the continuity of the movies, and it was just fun to hear the voices again, and just everything about it I really enjoyed. As far as the Wii version is concerned, I really thought that was going to be the one I would like more, because it seemed primed to be a first-person shooter like they made it. But they made a big flaw in it, for me anyway, that made me not enjoy it so much, and that was once you get the ghost worn down, then when you went to trap him, it told you, it gave you like kind of like the little quick time instructions of like, okay, now swing him this way, now swing him that way, now up and down and over and around. And I didn't like that. I mean, they had the same idea in the 360 version, except it just gave you alert of like, okay, now slam the ghost. But in this one, it was no, you got to do exactly what we tell you, or it's not going to work. And I just didn't care for that. Both games, I mean, I would recommend playing both, but I would definitely say the 360 is the better version to play.
Played it for the PS3. I got it because it came with a Blu-ray of Ghostbusters 1, and I really enjoyed it. I haven't played it since, and that was a good few years ago, 6-7 years ago. It might have been more than that or less than that. I can't remember, but no, I did enjoy it. It was quite a good game. You played like a rookie Ghostbuster, and you with the original cast, the voice actors, the original cast. It was wrote, by them and everything like that. It's pretty much a third movie, and it was good. But I'd have to replay it again because I don't really remember what happened or anything because it was a few years ago.
So when they first announced these movies, it started off with like this Channing Tatum, Seth Rogen, I think JGL was in there at one point. And it was kind of like, okay, Ghostbusters is kind of one of those movies of like, does it really need a reboot, or should it be more of a direct sequel? And obviously, with everything that was going on with Bill Murray and stuff like that, and then Harold Ramis passed, and it was just one of those things of like, you're not going to be able to capture it. That was lightning in a bottle with the first movie. The sequel, it has its pros and cons, and obviously, as a whole, it's not considered that great. So what else could be mined from this? But with how well the video game did, it obviously sparked some interest.
I've never been bothered about Ghostbusters coming back or anything like that. It's kind of like there's certain movies that I've always thought just suit the time they were made. Back to the Future is definitely one of them. It just suits when it was made. It just, don't remake it. Same with Ghostbusters. I think it suits the 80s. It's very 80s, like the toys and there was a lot of things in the 80s that came out like that. There was a movie, then there was a cartoon, then there was the toys, and it was just really nice, rounded up, and it's very of its time. And that's what I think with Ghostbusters. It was an 80s comedy. There was two of them. There was a cartoon series, and they were toys. I never thought it'd work, even with the original cast with Bill Murray and all that. I wasn't bothered. They were older. I just didn't want to see them make a half-arsed movie that they just didn't really want to do. But especially Bill Murray, he had no interest at all. And I just wasn't that bothered. I would rather had a new cartoon or something.
It was something that I wasn't that excited about, but I was definitely intrigued. And then when they said, yeah, we're going to do a all-female Ghostbusters team and we're going to have Kristen Wiig as the lead, I was just, I'm doing it right now. I was just immediately like, okay. And that has nothing to do with the fact that it's an all-female cast or anything like that. It was just, immediately I could tell that they were not going to advance this franchise. Instead, they were going to go for your stereotypical reboot of, they might mix a few things up here or there, but at the end, they're still just retelling the first movie. But, I still was optimistic about it. I waited until the trailers came out because I was like, who knows, maybe I'm wrong, but just everything that, when they started putting out stills and stuff, I was just like, yeah, this is what it's looking like. First trailer didn't bother me as much as it did with everyone else. It was the second trailer that solidified that it was like, no, this is not going to be good.
Nah, whatever, it's not going to be for me. It's not being made for me. It's being made for a new generation. I'm the old man with the old toys, like in the old cartoon and the old movies. And this new one is for a new generation. It's not for me. And yeah, it's not even aimed at me. They're throwing like Slimer and stuff like that in it to get a bit of nostalgia going, but I'm not falling for it.
This is why Hollywood needs to stop with all the remakes and stuff like that. Let's do original material. I realize we've hit a point in Hollywood and storytelling that it's really hard to come up with something new, which is why I think they should have just completely blew it up and did something completely different with it. Does this hurt my feelings and does it, affect how I'm going to look at Ghostbusters? No. I mean, any of these reboots and stuff, they don't affect me in the sense that like, well, this is what I remember it and now you killed it. Like, I'll never say like, yeah, you killed it. It's disappointing that, that things haven't changed. And especially with everything that we see going on of all these failures of movies, and yet people still just try to cranking out the same crap over and over. So anyway, yeah, so I will not be in theaters to go see it, but I'm not going to run away from this film. I do want to see it. I'm not going to sit there and be like, nope, not going to watch it. Nope, no, I will watch it. I'll give it a chance, but I'm not just going to give them my money. I'll find other ways to watch it.
And if I'm honest, I kind of hope it bombs. I know it sounds bad, but I really don't want a huge... I know it sounds selfish of me to say, but I don't want a huge load of Ghostbusters stuff coming out. It's hard enough getting hold of some of the Ghostbusters stuff as it is. It's going to be even harder when there's loads of new toys coming out, and I've seen some of them and they're terrible. And it's going to be harder when the people are getting nostalgic and reselling their older ones, thinking they're worth even more now because there's a new movie. And it's going to be very hard as a collector to do that. Same thing I've had with the Ninja Turtles. And I think it's going to be the same with Ghostbusters for me. So as a collector, it's going to be very difficult. That's why I'm not bothered about new Ghostbusters.
I do hope that this is good. I always hope that these things are good, because I do want to see this type of franchise go on and do big things. I do have high hopes for Ghostbusters as a whole, but I think they're off to the wrong start on this one.